Hello everyone, welcome to History and Culture. In the early years of the Ming Dynasty, the name Zhu Yuanzhang stood like a towering mountain atop the peak of Chinese history. Rising from a poor peasant family, he climbed to the throne through sheer perseverance and extraordinary intelligence, founding the mighty Ming Dynasty. Yet the legendary story of this founding emperor was not only filled with battles and glory, but also shrouded in bloodshed and ruthless purges. Particularly after ascending the throne, Zhu Yuanzhang launched a sweeping purge of the very founding officials who had once fought by his side, an act that has left countless sighs in its wake. Today, we revisit this grand yet tragic chapter of history to uncover the grim truth behind the storm of blood that swept the early Ming era. In 1368, Zhu Yuanzhang declared himself emperor in Yingtian Prefecture, founding the Ming Dynasty and ending Yuan rule in China. His success was not the result of his efforts alone, but owed much to a group of generals and strategists who had risked life and limb at his side. Among them were brilliant civil officials and valiant military commanders who together helped him secure his reign. However, once power was firmly in his grasp, Zhu Yuanzhang turned his blade on these very brothers-in-arms. The beginning of this drastic shift can be traced back to the story of the Ming Dynasty's first Grand Chancellor, Li Shanchang. Li Shanchang, a native of Dingyuan in Anhui Province, was one of Zhu Yuanzhang's earliest trusted advisors. He joined Zhu's anti-Yuan uprising from the very beginning and, with his outstanding talents and cautious disposition, became an indispensable asset. Over the course of 15 years, Li managed logistical planning, ensured supply lines to the front, and demonstrated exceptional skill in administration and appointments. He was like a backbone holding up the rear of the Ming military campaigns, enabling Zhu Yuanzhang to expand his dominion. Beyond the battlefield, Li Shanchang oversaw much of the court's daily operations. Whether managing supplies for frontline troops or calming civilians at home, he handled everything with impeccable order. Zhu Yuanzhang's trust in him deepened with time, and after founding the dynasty, he appointed Li as the Grand Chancellor of the left, second only to the emperor himself. He was honored as the Shaohe of the Ming dynasty, a testament to his unparalleled achievements. Yet his end would prove deeply tragic. In the third year of the Hongwu reign, 1370, Li Shanchang, then 62 years old, cited declining health and requested retirement. On the surface, this seemed a reasonable request from an aging official, and Zhu Yuanzhang readily agreed. But beneath this gesture lay a deeper tension. Li likely sensed the emperor's growing unease. Having risen from the bottom, Zhu Yuanzhang had an almost obsessive sensitivity regarding control over power. The chancellorship, as a traditional institution, granted immense authority to its holder, which made Zhu increasingly uncomfortable. Li's decision to retreat may have been a shrewd move to preempt future suspicion. Before stepping down, Li Shanchang recommended a successor, his distant relative, Huiyong. This seemingly ordinary recommendation would later become the seed of catastrophic upheaval in the Ming court. Huiyong, also from Dingyuan in Anhui, had been brought into Zhu Yuanzhang's inner circle by Li Shanchang. Smart and capable, who was well versed in court politics and quickly gained Zhu's favor. After assuming the chancellorship, he rapidly demonstrated his political acumen, deftly managing state affairs. However, as his power grew, so too did his arrogance. He began reviewing memorials without imperial permission, meddled in appointments, and even withheld petitions that didn't serve his interests, effectively deceiving the emperor. Worse still, he formed factions and cultivated a personal power base, creating a perception that he ruled the court alone. Zhu Yuanzhang was not blind to Hu's overreach, yet he chose not to act immediately. Some believe this was a form of beaded enforcement, deliberately allowing Hu to overstep in order to justify abolishing the chancellorship altogether. In Zhu's view, the office held too much power and posed a threat to imperial supremacy. whose tyranny thus became the perfect pretext to eliminate the position entirely. In the 13th year of the Hongwu reign, 1380, the storm broke. Censor Tu Jie submitted a memorial accusing Hu Weiyong of treason. Zhu Yuanzhang responded with swift and brutal force, who was executed, along with his entire clan and extended relatives, totaling 9 generations. But the purge didn't stop there. Anyone remotely connected to Hu, whether loyal supporters, colleagues, or those barely associated, was branded a Hu faction member and executed without mercy. Historical records note that the purge lasted 12 years and claimed more than 30,000 lives, including numerous founding officials and high-ranking ministers. This catastrophe not only dismantled Hu Weiyong's power but also devastated the entire civil bureaucracy. More importantly, Zhu Yuanzhang used this as an opportunity to officially abolish the chancellorship in the same year. All executive power was centralized under the emperor alone. From that point forward, the Ming dynasty would have no more grand chancellors. Hu Weiyong would be remembered as China's last. To further consolidate imperial power, Zhu Yuanzhang established the Jinyue, embroidered uniform guard, the following year, 1382. This secret police force answered directly to the emperor and wielded terrifying authority. They could arrest anyone, including royal relatives, without legal procedures. The Jinyue became Zhu's tool for purging dissent and brought even more blood to an already ruthless political climate. Tragically, even a cautious and loyal founding official like Li Shanchang could not escape the storm. In the 23rd year of the Hongwu reign, 1390, a decade into the Hu Weiyong case, Li was accused of treasonous behavior and alleged to be linked to the scandal. Despite having once been granted an imperial iron certificate that guaranteed immunity from execution, this symbol of ultimate favor could not save him. Li Shanchang was executed along with over 70 members of his family, becoming one of the most heartbreaking casualties of this purge. The fallout from the Hu Weiyong case had not yet settled when an even greater storm was already brewing, the case against General Lan Yu. Hailing from Dingyuan in Anhui province, Lan Yu was one of the most distinguished military commanders of early Ming China. He rose to prominence at a young age, displaying exceptional military prowess. In times of crisis, he turned the tide of battle more than once, making major contributions to the founding and territorial expansion of the Ming dynasty. Whether in defeating the remnants of the Yuan forces or pacifying the frontiers, Lan Yu's unmatched talent earned him Emperor Zhu Yuanzhang's trust as an indispensable military leader. But with great military success came great arrogance. Lan Yu grew increasingly haughty, often speaking and acting without restraint, even going so far as to complain to Zhu Yuanzhang about being inadequately rewarded. His attitude gradually raised red flags. After the Hu Weiyong incident, the emperor became hypersensitive to any potential threat to his authority, and Lan Yu's rising prestige was beginning to cross that invisible line. Lan Yu's fate was closely tied to a key figure, Zhu Biao, Zhu Yuanzhang's eldest son and heir apparent. Zhu Biao, the emperor's favorite, had been raised from childhood to inherit the throne. A student of the great Confucian scholar Song Lian, he was widely respected for his scholarly depth and gentle nature. Lan Yu and Zhu Biao were close in age, shared similar interests, and developed a strong friendship. Zhu Yuanzhang's early favor toward Lan Yu was largely because he believed Lan Yu could be a reliable military pillar for Zhu Biao's future reign. But Lan Yu's increasing arrogance began to undermine that trust. Then came a tragic turning point. In 1392, Zhu Biao suddenly died at the age of 37. For Zhu Yuanzhang, this was a devastating blow. Not only had he lost a beloved son, but also the heir he had spent decades grooming. To preserve Zhu Biao's bloodline, the emperor bypassed his other sons and named Zhu Biao's 15-year-old second son, Zhu Yunwen, as his successor. Although Zhu Yunwen inherited his father's benevolence, his youth and inexperience left him lacking the authority and political skill to manage powerful generals like Lan Yu. Even after Zhu Biao's death, Lan Yu continued his domineering behavior. This raised serious concerns for Zhu Yuanzhang. Once he was gone, could Zhu Yunwen control such a powerful figure? Would Lan Yu, embittered by perceived slights, turn against the throne? In 1393, Lan Yu's downfall arrived. Accused of treason, he was executed along with his entire clan. The Lan Yu case swept through the military establishment like wildfire. Generals like Fu Yud, Fengsheng, and Wang Bai were all implicated. Over 15,000 people were reportedly executed. It is said that after Lan Yu's death, Zhu Yuanzhang ordered his skin to be flayed and displayed across various provinces as a grim warning. This purge virtually wiped out the Ming dynasty's early military leadership, severely weakening the empire's armed forces. Lan Yu's demise is a sobering tale. Despite a lifetime of service and battlefield glory, he ultimately became a victim of imperial suspicion. There is no conclusive historical evidence that he ever plotted rebellion. His execution may have simply been another calculated move by Zhu Yuanzhang to consolidate imperial power. In addition to the Hu Weiyong and Lan Yu cases, two other major crackdowns, the Empty Seal case and the Guohuan case, reveal further layers of Zhu Yuanzhang's ruthless campaign to enforce control and eliminate corruption. While these were not as extensive in scope, they reflected the same deep paranoia and iron-fisted approach to governance. The Empty Seal case emerged from the imperial logistics system. Provincial officials were required to stamp documents in advance when delivering supplies to the capital. To cut corners, many stamped paperwork before the goods arrived, using inferior goods or even embezzling resources. What seemed like mere administrative negligence was seen by Zhu Yuanzhang as outright treason. He was furious. Such corruption, he believed, directly endangered national security. His response was draconian. All officials in charge of seals, regardless of guilt, were executed. The purge claimed countless lives, including many innocent ones, and signaled the emperor's increasingly extreme tendencies in his later years. Then came the Guohuan case, a massive corruption scandal. Guohuan, vice minister of revenue, colluded with local officials to siphon off taxes and grain. They reportedly embezzled over 24 million dan of grain, more than the total annual grain production of the entire country at the time. Zhu Yuanzhang saw this as an existential threat and launched a nationwide investigation. Guohuan was executed, and over 30,000 people were implicated. The purge was merciless. While many were guilty, numerous officials were swept up in the dragnet unfairly. This anti-corruption campaign left the bureaucracy paralyzed, officials terrified that they might be the next to fall. Why was Zhu Yuanzhang so ruthless, even to the point of slaughtering his own trusted officials and generals? The answer may lie in his origins. Rising from the bottom of society, he understood how fragile power could be. Anyone or anything that might threaten the throne was treated as a potential enemy. By abolishing the chancellorship in the Hu Weiyong case, eliminating military autonomy in the Lan Yu case, and purging the civil service through the Empty Seal and Guohuan cases, Zhu Yuanzhang was tightening his grip on every corner of his empire. To him, the growing influence of his founding officials posed a long-term risk. The overreach of Hu Weiyong, the cautious wisdom of Li Shanchang, the arrogance of Lan Yu, and even the petty corruption of local bureaucrats, all were threats in his eyes. Through sweeping purges, Zhu Yuanzhang not only neutralized these threats but sent a chilling message to future generations: imperial authority must never be challenged. Yet the long-term consequences were profound. While Zhu Yuanzhang's actions temporarily stabilized the regime, they also crippled the Ming state. The decimation of the military leadership and the climate of fear among civil officials left the court weakened and demoralized. Worse, His obsession with control sowed seeds of fear that haunted the dynasty for generations. And history took an ironic turn. In 1398, Zhu Yuanzhang died. His grandson Zhu Yunwen ascended the throne as the Jiangwen emperor. But the young ruler soon found himself facing a formidable challenge: Zhu Di, the emperor's fourth son and prince of Yan. A seasoned warrior with a loyal army, Zhu Di had ambitions of his own. When Jiangwen tried to reduce the power of the princes, Zhu Di launched the Jingnan campaign. In 1402, he seized the throne and became the Yongle emperor. Zhu Di's rise to power was the ultimate twist of fate. Zhu Yuanzhang had purged the court to clear the way for his grandson, only for the throne to be usurped by his most ambitious son. All of Zhu Yuanzhang's efforts to secure the dynasty's future had, in the end, been in vain. Even a ruler as iron-fisted as him could not control the tide of history. Zhu Yuanzhang's ruthless purges may have ensured short-term stability, but the long-term costs were immense. His war on the military and civil elite hollowed out the early Ming state. Fear reigned in the bureaucracy, and the once vibrant political culture was stifled. More than anything, his legacy left behind a dynasty built on caution, suspicion, and silence. Yet from another perspective, Zhu Yuanzhang's actions reflected the harsh realities of his time. He came from nothing, endured chaos, and understood the fragility of unity. Perhaps everything he did was for one purpose: to leave a stable empire to his descendants. But the price of that stability was paid in blood, the blood of his most loyal followers, and the sorrow of countless families. From Li Shanchang's loyal service, to Hu Weiyong's overreach, to Lan Yu's battlefield glory, from the empty seal case to the Guohuan scandal, Zhu Yuanzhang and his officials carved out a history as grand as it was tragic. Were his ruthless methods a necessary foundation for imperial order, or the product of a ruler consumed by paranoia? There may never be a definitive answer. But it is a question worth pondering. If you have your own thoughts about Zhu Yuanzhang's story, share them in the comments below. This is History and Culture channel. Like and subscribe are the biggest help and support for us. Thank you everyone. See you next time.